Stress impacts us all, and while some stress can be good for us, it's motivating and it pushes us forward in life, too much stress can have negative consequences on our physical and mental health. In this video, we'll explore some of the signs and symptoms of being overstressed to help answer the question, are you stressed out? I know I've been stressed out before. Oh, what the?
What the heck? Why?
Whew. So let's identify some of those symptoms of stress so you can start living a more balanced life. Let's get into it. What's up everyone, it's Dr. J and I make videos about different psychological concepts that raise awareness about mental health. If you're loving these videos, you can click that big old subscribe button down below and stay tuned for plenty more to come. Today we're going to talk about stress. So stress is a daily occurrence, but when we're under chronic stress, it can add up and create a lot of different symptoms. So how do you know when you're stressed out? Well, let's look at the different clusters of symptoms and start with physical symptoms. Let's start out with one of the most recognizable physical symptoms of being stressed out, and that's having a lack of energy. We can notice this from the second we wake up in the morning, or it can just progress throughout the day. This sort of sluggish, fatigued feeling where you just don't have as much energy as normal. So what's one of the most common behaviors we do when we feel this lack of energy? Yep, you guessed it, consuming the most widely used psychoactive drug in the world, caffeine. If you feel pulled to use more and more caffeine throughout the day, this might be a red flag that you are stressed out. While caffeine does give us that short burst of energy, which can feel amazing, research suggests that it increases the amount of stress hormone released, and it also increases the person's perception of stress. So before I make all my coffee lover and caffeine lovers mad, we'll have to discuss the pros and cons of caffeine in another video. Another physical sign of stress is aches, pains, and body tightness. Since we know stress triggers the fight, flight, or freeze response to some perceived threat in the environment, it's no wonder that our muscles and body would tighten up under stress. I know for me, when I'm stressed out for a while, I'll notice my shoulders rising and my back becoming so tight. But you might notice some of these physical symptoms with tightness through the jaw, through the eyes, or even in the head, which is no wonder when you experience more stress, you're more likely to have headaches. Stress can also adversely impact our stomachs. You might notice indigestion, nausea, or big appetite changes. Just as common, stress can cause our chest to hurt and increase our heart rate, even if you're resting. Since stress hormone is gearing us up for action to some threat in the environment, you might be feeling these effects even if you're lying down and trying to relax after a long day. Now let's look at the ways that stress can impact our cognitions or our thinker realm. Ooh. Thinker realm is like a really technical term. It's in some medical books, you might have to dig for it, but yeah, you can start using it if you want to. Mm-hmm. Yep. One of the most common signs in this realm is increased worrying, anxious thinking, or sped up thoughts. While we all worry at times, Lord knows I do. When we're in this mode of feeling stressed out, we might worry all day long. Have you ever had the experience where you're just worrying about stuff from the past and you can't change the station? Or you're worrying about perceived threats that are in the future that may never even happen? This sped up, anxious mind can make it difficult to concentrate. You might start a task and find yourself drifting off in all different directions, or you might be reading the same paragraph over and over again and just not retaining the information. It's no surprise then that stress can impair our memories. If we're having trouble encoding the information on the way in, we can also have trouble retrieving the information that's there. This can play out in the "where did I put my keys?" what's that person's name again? Or I was gonna say something or do something, but I just can't remember what. These are all signs that stress is starting to impact your cognitive, or super technical term, your thinker realm. Too much stress can also trigger a number of changes in the emotional realm. But before we move ahead, let's reflect a little bit. Why don't you comment down below? Let me know what your signs of stress are in the physical or cognitive realms. You might be like me. Maybe you notice tightness throughout the body. Maybe you worry more or have difficulty concentrating. Whatever your physical signs of stress are, let me know down below how they manifest. Emotionally, when you're under too much stress, you might notice yourself becoming more irritable or agitated. Since stress is wearing down our ability to regulate and cope, you might have a much shorter fuse than normal, even with dealing with small stressors or setbacks.
Yeah, I'll take an Impossible Whopper, but with no pickles, please.
Impossible, no pickle?
Yep.
Alright.
No!
Emotionally, you may also experience depressed or low mood, and this can lead to hopelessness over time, especially if it's a chronic stressor that you struggle to overcome or change in any way. This is typically a great time to seek your own therapy so the therapist can come alongside and help you get over that hurdle. Stress can also give us that heavy feeling of being overwhelmed, or on the opposite end, give us that sped up feeling we alluded to of anxiety. The important thing to note is any major shift in your typical emotional experience might be a sign that you're experiencing too much stress. The last area you may notice changes due to stress is in your behaviors. We've alluded to some of these as we've gone along, but one of the major ones being changes to sleep. You might have these anxious or racing thoughts that keep you up at night, or because you're feeling tired all the time, you're pulled to sleep more. You might also notice appetite changes due to stress. You may be eating less because you find yourself so busy and you're running around all the time that you're skipping meals. Or maybe you have some of those symptoms of nausea or stomach discomfort that's making you eat not as much. But the opposite can be true as well. You might be eating more. You might be eating mindlessly because you're not aware of what you're doing and you're drifting off, or you're eating simply as a way to cope with stress. Other common behavioral changes is withdrawing and isolating from others. We are such a social species, but under high stress, we might feel unmotivated to connect with others. The bad news about this is research shows the more we isolate, it actually increases our stress levels, so we may feel even worse. There can be many other behavioral changes due to stress, like increased substance use, more trips to the doctor because our immune system gets compromised when we're under chronic stress. But one of the most common things that we see is an increase in nervous habits. Your nervous habits might come in many forms, but some of the more typical ones are biting your nails, bouncing your leg while seated, picking at your skin, or biting your cheek or lips. If you're noticing an increase in your nervous habits, it again might be a sign that you are stressed out. Phew! Stress can manifest in so many different ways, behaviorally, emotionally, cognitively, even physically. And if you're starting to notice that you have many of these stress symptoms from the different realms, yes, it could mean you are stressed out. However, noticing your stress symptoms, becoming more aware of them, allows you to be empowered to make the necessary changes in your life to reduce stress and find balance. Let me know in those comments down below, how does stress manifest for you? And stay tuned right here for an excellent video on ways you can start reducing stress right now. I'll see you next time. Guys, scram. Get out of here. Scram. Guys, I'm filming something. I'm filming something right now. This is very important.